Let's dive deeper into tonight's election results with our 9 News political analysts, Alton Dillard and Kelly Maher. Thank you both for being here. The governor's tax measure, Prop HH, goes down by a 20-point margin. Alton, what's the takeaway for Democrats tonight?
The takeaway is that they're definitely going to have to look into this special session.
Bringing the legislature back.
Bringing the legislature back into action, because this, I expected it to lose maybe narrowly. I did not expect this kind of a blowout, but watching some of the social media, which is always fun, it's already, you start to see the cannibalism going on a little bit. So I think that bringing a special session back, and as the people who are being accused of being on the right are saying, that you need to really just put forward a straightforward tax cut. But one of the other things that's happening on the socials, though, are people are, blaming the loss on this right-wing messaging, and it's like most of Colorado is unaffiliated. This is not a right versus left thing. This was a complicated issue that got ramrodded through the legislature at the last second, and people didn't buy.
Kelly, the tough thing for Democrats is because of the fact that they single-handedly control state government, they single-handedly kind of have to fix this if they're going to try to fix it, the fix being for skyrocketing property taxes.
Yeah, it's going to be really a problem. I mean, people are really concerned about property taxes. We see that that is filtering up as one of the main issues. And I think that people are going to be heading to the Capitol and really pushing for some kind of fix. And, there are 2 people who really spent political capital tonight, and one was Governor Jared Polis, and the other was Mike Johnston, who spent it. Jared Polis spent it on HH. Mike Johnston spent it in the Denver County School Board, and it looks like Jared Polis set his on fire, and at this point, Mike Johnston's is paying off.
It's tough to think of a bigger loss for Jared Polis than what he suffered tonight, right? He's won a whole lot of races, and a lot of folks he's backed have done very well. This was a pretty incredible repudiation. Let's talk about the Denver School Board race. Voters are clearly sick of the dysfunction. Public safety was the key issue there. This is the at-large race between the former East High principal John Youngquist and Kwame Spearman, who briefly ran for mayor. And my goodness, that's not even close. Alton, you were saying tonight that putting 3 new voices on the board could kind of move things in a couple of different ways. How do you see this playing out in terms of the way that Denver public schools are run?
I think one thing is just going to bring a little more sort of balance to the board. I think that's going to be something that's going to help out a lot. But this was definitely a mandate on the safety issue, because we cannot normalize stabbings and shootings and the things that have been going on in the Denver public schools, and then the absolute lack of accountability. So the other thing to keep an eye out for is the people who are in running that Resign DPS movement, because only half the board was up tonight. I'm still predicting a pretty large recall effort in the coming months.
So Mike Johnston got involved in the school board races. He said that he would. His candidates, 2 out of the 3 win in a blowout tonight. The other one is poised to win as well. So what does this mean for him in terms of, think about it from a conservative perspective. Should Republicans be rooting for this guy at this point, for Mike Johnston?
I mean, ultimately, you're talking about somebody who has a very vibrant background in education.
Who pushes back against teachers' unions, has for a long time.
He has for a long time. And I don't think that it's fair to try to pin Mayor Johnston down in any specific camp. And also, he understands that the issues that happen at the school board, even though it's an entirely different entity, filter all the way up through the city. And he has some real challenges, and he's trying to address them. And he can't have this continued drama on the school board side.
And a final quick word from each of you. Kelly first, on what's happening with other school boards. That's where conservatives in Colorado have really pushed all their chips in, that's where they're going to win races. It worked for them 2 years ago. Not so much tonight.
Doesn't look like it's going to be great for conservatives in school boards across Colorado, even in very red areas. Douglas County, for instance, doesn't look like it's headed the way that conservatives were expecting or hoping it would.
Do you see a through line tonight, or do you see separate races, separate issues, people making individual decisions?
No, it's definitely a through line, because I think this is a repudiation of the culture wars. Because think about it as far as just the overall basic education. having good education for our students didn't used to be considered a quote-unquote conservative concept. But when you start having these school boards and their varying levels of dysfunction, but then start trying to tell people who can be called what by their teacher in school, and, you know, let's make sure that we're not teaching too much Black history, make sure we're not diving too much into quote-unquote wokeness. This sort of illustrates, because to the point that you two were making, that school boards were the battleground because the Republican Party of Colorado is so dead that no one can win statewide office. So that was the new battleground, but even that battleground has now been turned back.
Alton Dillard, Kelly Maher, thank you very much.